Happy Friday, everyone. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. Welcome back to another English lesson with Miss Borhan. Now, I want you to get your pencils and your papers and write down the long date, Friday, 12th of June 2020, and the LI to write a creative story ending. Good job, everyone. There are various techniques that can be used in creative writing. Some of these include plot development, dialogue, emotional appeal, metaphors, and similes. These techniques help a writer achieve a creative piece of writing that a reader will enjoy. Do you recall what we mean when we say metaphors and similes? Pause and have a think. Excellent. Now a simile is a comparison between two things, so we use words such as or like. So an example would be, her smile is as bright as the sun. Did you come up with any examples? I want you to write it down. And a metaphor is a figure of speech that compares two things by saying one thing is the other thing. So an example would be, you are the sunshine of my life. And another one, he was a walking encyclopedia. So this is a figure of speech and he was a walking encyclopedia. That means that this person is very smart. Excellent. Now we're going to go over this creative piece of writing. It's a story and we're going to see whether we can see any of the features that we just discussed. So I hope you're all concentrating and reading along with me. Charlie's magical chalk. It was a hot summer's day and Charlie was bored. Charlie's granddad came into the garden and gave him a box of chalk. So already we have this setting over here. This is a special box of chalk that I had when I was a small boy. You can play with them if you like, but only if we draw something nice, he explained kindly. Charlie wasn't very excited. He was an 8-year-old boy who was too cool and grown up to play with chalk. He stuffed the chalk into his backpack politely. Thanks, Grandad, said Charlie half-heartedly as he set off out of the door for summer school. So the setting is a summer's day and he's going to summer school. Charlie spotted his best friend Amy as soon as he arrived. Charlie thought Amy was cool even though she was a girl. She liked doing fun things like playing football and telling jokes. Hey Charlie, I have been waiting for you. Let's play outside because it's not raining for once, she excitedly announced as she bounced off towards the door without even waiting for Charlie to reply. Charlie smiled. He knew Amy was bossy, but playing outside sounded like an excellent idea as he couldn't disagree with her. What characters do we have so far? Pause and have a think. We have Charlie, Grandad, and Amy. What shall we do then? Asked Amy. My granddad gave me some chalk and said we can draw something nice, mumbled Charlie as he rolled his eyes. Amy looked excited. She snatched the chalk and drew a cat on the hard playground. Now over here we have dialogue going on. So the dialogue is between the characters when they're speaking, and when we're writing this speech, we have to use inverted commas. So this is an example of Amy saying, what shall we do then? Asked Amy. And Charlie responds back, my granddad gave me some chalk and said we can draw something nice, mumbled Charlie as he rolled his eyes. So remember, when we're using inverted commas, we have to have these over here to indicate the speech. And if we have a comma, we have to make sure, or a punctuation, we have to make sure that it's inside, like this full stop over here. Excellent. Did you notice any other inverted commas, any speech In this page, pause, have a look and write it down. Let's move on. Do you think that's nice enough for your granddad? She smirked as she got back on her feet, but Charlie didn't smile back. He blinked, rubbed his eyes, and stared with his mouth wide open. Amy was completely confused and was about to give him a friendly punch in the arm when she heard a tiny, gentle meow from behind her. She spun around to see that her drawing of a cat had come to life. The cat brushed softly between Amy's legs as she stood there amazed. Charlie picked up the magical pack of chalk and looked mischievously at Amy. Now over here we have plot development because there's something happening in the story, something exciting. The cat just came to life. Charlie began drawing furiously all over the floor while Amy stroked the cat and waited for him to finish. Charlie proudly looked down at his chalk picture after a few minutes. He had drawn a pink and purple spotted monster with 3 green eyes, big claws on its hands, and a yellow wiggly mouth. Amy chuckled and Charlie looked hurt. He will scare all of the little kids when he comes alive. He likes to eat small children. Suddenly, Charlie's creature popped off the floor like a bouncing spring. He looked around the playground and then hungrily started walking towards Amy. No! Don't eat her! Charlie yelled, but the monster kept shuffling towards her best friend. Run, Amy! Run! Charlie screamed. Now over here we have a simile. Charlie's creature popped off the floor like a bouncy spring, and how do we know that this is a simile? Pause and have a think. We know because it uses word like. Good job. The monster started to run after them both. They dived quickly into one of the climbing frame tunnels because they knew that it was too big to fit inside. The horrible creature stayed at the end of the tunnel, growling and trying to reach for the children with his pointed, sharp claws. The children were stuck and they didn't know what to do. It seemed impossible, so Amy began to cry. Over here we have some emotive language. Pointed, sharp claws. Pointed and sharp are describing how the claws look like, so they're adjectives. Did you notice any other adjectives? I noticed quite a few in the second paragraph. I want you to write them down in your books. Good job, everyone. Now, what do you predict will happen next in the story? Write down your prediction. So you can write, I predict that, and continue. Excellent. Oh, I wish it was rainy and we'd played inside today, sniffled Amy. That's it, shouted Charlie. He had an amazing idea. Amy looked confused as Charlie began to draw something else on the wall of the tunnel. Speedily, he handed Amy a water gun. We can wash him away. He's only made of chalk, Charlie explained. The revolting beast, another adjective, revolting, was still at the end of the tunnel, so Charlie and Amy climbed to the top of the tunnel. They stood on the platform at the top next to the slide and pumped up their water guns ready to go. Next, they blasted the monster with water. The strange creature roared so loudly that the platform shook. He jumped to try to get them, but the children kept squirting until all that remained was a soggy, multicolored puddle. Soggy and multicolored, again an adjective. The children flopped down onto the floor. They were totally exhausted. Amy picked up on the box of chalks and stuffed them into her bag when they had finally got their breath back. They promised to never use the chalks again unless they were going to draw something nice like Grandad had said. After summer school, Charlie, Amy, and her new cat walked back to Amy's house. Amy's annoying little brother, another adjective, started pestering her as soon as they walked through the door. I know we said we would only draw nice things, but maybe one little brother-eating monster wouldn't hurt, she giggled as she ran off with the mysterious chalk in her hand. Quickly, Charlie's face turned white as he dashed after her. No, he screeched. Now over here we end with a cliffhanger. Does anyone know what that means? So a cliffhanger is It's like a dramatic and exciting ending to a story or even a film, and it leaves you in suspense because you would like to know what happens next. Now, from the predictions that you made, was it correct or not? So read through your predictions again. Now the story has ended, and let's go through some setting description senses words that you can use when you're writing your stories. So over here we have 5 senses: sight, sound, smell, sensations, and feelings. And these are some vocabulary that you can use when you're writing stories to make it really creative. So for example, for sights, you can say the dazzling streets, the glistening water, the, the gloomy weather. For sounds, instead of just saying I heard something or the character heard something, you say banging, buzzing, ringing, rustling, scratching, screeching. For smells, you can say clean, damp, delicious, dusty, disgusting, pungent, pleasant. For sensations, say bumpy, cool, damp, gentle, hard, itchy. So this is how something feels physically, and for feelings, how a character can feel internally: amazed, anxious, ashamed, calm, confident. So I really want you to take your time reading this vocabulary. I'll also be uploading them on the Year 4 online learning platform. That was for settings, and now this is a character description word map that you can look for the character, how to describe their face, hair, body, voice, clothes, and movement. So for example, for the face, you can say, instead of saying nice, you can say adorable, beautiful, cheerful, cruel. For the hair, coarse, curly, dark, fine. For the body, bulky, frail, muscular. For the voice, clear, booming, confident. The clothes, clean, damaged, fashionable, flowing. For the movement, blundering, edging, limping, looming, and so forth. So take your time to read this vocabulary to make your work even better. Now over here, to describe a setting, I want you to take your time and look at this picture over here. What can you feel under your feet? So you describe what you can feel under your feet, what you can see, what you can hear, what the weather is like, and your footprints. So take your time with this to imagine you were over here in this setting. So where is this setting? Where does this look like to you? Is it somewhere hot or cold? Take a look at the images. You can see the snow, so you will know that it's somewhere where it's very cold. Now imagine you're there. What do you think the weather is like? How do you think your footprints would look on the snow? Excellent, write it all down. Now imagine that this penguin comes to life. So over here is a penguin. Describe the movement when it realizes it can move, and describe it moving gently and carefully at first. Describe what it decides to use, so you can go back to those word banks over there and see which vocabulary is suitable and write this down. So pause this section right now and do this. Take your time. Excellent. Let's move on. Now let's predict what happens next. Mike and his friend Joe are experienced rock climbers enjoying what they do best. However, as the sky begins to cloud over quickly, spots of rain fall. What happens next? So think about these questions when you're predicting what happens next. What dangers are there around Mike? What problems could happen to Mike? How could it be fixed? And how do Mike and Joey finish the story? So take a look at this picture. What do you notice? And what do you predict will happen next? Take your time and write this down. Excellent. Now to understand a character's point of view. So we know, to look at the sentence starter, we know that this girl is worried because, how do we know that this girl is worried? Take a look at her facial expressions. I want you to write this down. Now, to understand a character's point of view, we need to ask questions. So this is a bit like what we've done in class with hot seating, when we get someone to take the role of a character. So remember, we did this with Edward Tulane. Someone took on the role of Edward, and then the class could ask questions to better understand how Edward was feeling. So you can do the same with this girl over here. So what do questions start with? They can start with what, how, and why. I want you to write down questions that you can ask. So for example, you can say, why are you worried? And then as a challenge, you can ask an if question. Excellent. Now over here, you're going to have a task, and you're going to go on this website, which will be in the description below, and it'll be uploaded on the Year for Online Learning platform. Now, the story Reverso is a story about a man whose whole life is upside down. Gravity seems to push him to the ceiling rather than pull him down to the ground. He is an outcast in life, and his attempts to make friends in work end in disaster, and he ends up getting fired. A walk in the park ends in surprise. Now, when you go to this link over here, you're going to find this video. It's an animation clip, and I want you to watch all of it. Watch up to the credits, all of it, right to the ending, right until the video is complete. And then when you've watched all of that, I would like you to complete the ending to the story. Now remember, this is creative writing, so be creative. Think about the characters. You can give the characters names. Remember, the title of the story is Reverso, so you're just writing the ending. So remember, stories usually have a beginning, a middle, and ending. You're just writing the ending. Use your vocabulary. Use adjectives. Think about how the plot has developed. Think about the video. And think about all the features that we just went through. Be really creative. I would love to see the different endings that you all come up with. So you need to access this link. It's www.literacyshed.com/reverso.html. So once again, this link will be in the description below and on the school website. And once you're done completing the story, I would like you to take a picture and send it over to year4@grange.harrow.sch.uk. Have a brilliant weekend, everyone, and see you in our next lesson.